Very good morning to everyone present in the class. Warm wishes to all. So I hope I'm audible. Good morning. Thank you so much, guys, for the acknowledgement. I'm feeling better. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Now we need to understand about business to business part. That means one application is communicating to another application for the service. Two applications are talking to, communicating, or getting connected to each other. Example, guys, Telesco Internet of PayPal for the purpose of transactions. So, all right, allow me a minute. Yeah. So, all of you, as a end users of Telesco, all of you are reaching out to Telesco. The end users are reaching out to the Telesco. Okay, all of you are end users, the customers, the clients. And when you make the payment, we are providing the services. But for some of the cases, for some of the features, we seek help of one more application, which is PayPal for the payment for the transactions. So one application is communicating to one more application. This is only called as distributed enterprise applications. Distributed enterprise business. Enterprise means business applications. How one application can talk to another application. And you can see many such examples where one application is getting connected to the another applications. These days, you cannot develop a bigger application which is rich in features without taking help of one more application. So APIs are getting connected. That means one more application which is coded by someone else is getting integrated in our applications. And for that to make it happen, the web services, RESTful services comes into picture. And for that only, the concept of REST APIs comes into picture. All right, that is what we need to understand right now. Now, whenever you hear this term distributed enterprise grade application, when one application is seeking the help of one more application, there are many technologies came up to develop this, to develop distributed enterprise business applications. Many applications or many technologies came to make this happen. How one application can seek help of one more applications. It is Corba. The concept of RMI came into picture. Many technologies came which tried to give solution wherein one application can seek help of one more application. They had their own difficulties. They had their own problems. And the team for the Java happens to be very popular programming language in the enterprise market. They came up with one technology called as EJB, Enterprise Java Bean, where one application can connect and seek help of one more application. One more application that was possible. But the problem with EJB was also it was very difficult to maintain the application, and there are other difficulties were associated. And one of the major problem with EJB was it can connect one Java application to another Java application. There were no interoperability here. Interoperability referring to one application can seek help of one more application irrespective of the technology or the language. Example, Telesco backend Spring Boot is used. PayPal, we are seeking help. PayPal need not to be Spring Boot. It could be Python based. It could be .NET based, C Sharp .NET based application. So right now, with the help of EJB, you cannot connect to an application which is coded in one more language, one more technology. If Telesco is getting connected to PayPal, that means PayPal has to be also from Java background. Telesco also has to be from the Java background. If both of them are Java, only then you can get connected to the application. Only then you can connect the applications, you can seek the services. And that was the major problem of EJBs. There were other associated difficulties also, but this happens to be the major problem. So the demand to develop applications, distributed applications, where one application can seek help of one more application easily by achieving interoperability. By achieving the interoperability, all the world developers, great computer scientists, businesses, they form one organization called as WSI. Name is Web Services Interoperability. That means we should come up with the services, means business services over the web by achieving interoperability. That means if I have developed one application Telescope, I have deployed on the server, it is available to the web. And this whatever application or service I'm developing, other application also should be in a position to seek service. They can integrate my APIs in them. So the demand of interoperable services came into picture, because of which one organization formed called as Web Services Interoperability. And after doing lot of research, they came up with some specification. Basic Profile 1.0 specification. We also call it as BP 1.0 specification. BP referring to basic profile, wherein they gave some principles that if you follow this, then definitely you can develop such a web services, such a APIs which others can also use irrespective of the technology or the programming language. That means if I have developed application in Java, application which is developed in Python, Django, they can get connected to my application. So one application can get connected to one more application, irrespective of the languages or the programming, technology which is being used. Example, guys, these days you might have heard the front end is Angular and React, back end is Spring Boot. Angular is a framework of JavaScript. React is a library of JavaScript. Spring Boot is a framework of Java. So both these applications are of same technology or different technologies. So if my JavaScript React application collecting the form data, it is storing in its object, JavaScript object. If you give JavaScript syntax object to a Java application, can you take it and do something with it? As a Java developer, in my Java application, I need Java object. If I have a Java object, I can easily work with a Java object, not the object which is coded in some other programming language. So if one application is able to get connected to another application and interchange the information, interchange this data, that's where the concept of web services, RESTful services comes into picture. Now, to enable this web service interoperability, WSI formed and they gave one specification based on this. Many companies also try to give their specifications or requirement based on the principles of BP 1.0. Java Sun Microsystem also they gave their own specification. We call it as JAX RPC, Java API for XML, interoperable. Now, whatever this is there, if you follow this principle, your application can be interoperable. Interoperable means your application is in a position to receive the data and to, give the data in any format. I mean, in the format where both the application can communicate easily without any problem, irrespective of the languages or the technology involved. If one more application is Python, I have Java application, still we both can interchange the data. They can pass some data to me, I can pass some data. We don't know PayPal what language they have used, though most of the finance they have used Java only. However, suppose Telesco in the backend, suppose that we have used Node.js, but PayPal is using Java. So in that case, we whatever data we have here, all of us are collecting your credit card details, we are collecting your debit card details for the payment, but we have no code which can go to the specific bank, deduct the amount, come back and credit in Telesco's account. All this logic we have not developed. We take details and we forward the details to the one more application, PayPal. Now our application is Node.js. The way we have collected the data is in the JavaScript syntax, and our data, our objects are in the JavaScript syntax format. We have used the arrays which is of JavaScript, but whatever PayPal is expecting in the form of Java object. Now this web services interoperability enables us that doesn't matter PayPal which technology, which stack they are using, our Telesco application which stack or which technology we are using, we both should be in a position to interchange the information, should be in a position to seek each other's help. Are you getting where we are leading this to, my dear friends? Yes, no, maybe. After the success of BP 1.0, BP 1.1 came into picture. Based on the BP 1.1's principles, Java Sun Microsystem team gave JAX WS, for which many implementation came. Java API for XML web services, right? And based on this, many other specification came, which is called as JAX RPC. And apart from that, we have JAX WS, based on the specification from the WSI. These two APIs or these two specification came from the Sun Microsystem. For this, many gave the implementation. They gave the requirement specification. Many gave the implementation. Sun gave, the owner of Java back then, its own implementation. Then the Apache company gave, we call it as Apache Access. IBM WebSphere. Many of them gave the implementation. Oracle WebLogic, which is based on the JAX RPC and JAX WC WebLogic. So that by using these specifications and principles, they can enable your application to be interoperable. And for JAX WS also, Oracle WebLogic, IBM WebSphere, Apache Access to many specifications came. Java, JAX means Java API for XML. Very simple it is. Java API for XML. And making application interoperable by following the principles of WSI, Web Services Interoperability, BP 1.0, BP 1.0. Whatever web services are getting developed, right, we call them as SOAP-based web services. SOAP-based web services. Such a services on the internet are present where, irrespective of that application is giving some services, right, that application might have coded in any technology, any programming language. Still, we will be in a position to seek help of that application. Right? The concept of SOAP-based web services came into picture, which is based on, for a Java developer, it is based on JAX RPC or web services. So SOAP-based web services came into picture where one application which is coded in any language, I'll make an assumption that they have been coded in Python or C#, they have used maybe .NET technology framework, and one more application is being developed using the Java, using the Spring framework. Now, can they get connected? Yes, they can get connected. Not just that, can they pass the data? Yes. Can you give the response as the information? Yes. So in between, the medium was XML. XML is the language or the syntax which is being used to enable the communication between two applications, irrespective of the stacks or the languages. Now, in this application, which is coded in Python, C Sharp, or .NET, they should have a logic develop which is responsible to convert their local language syntax into XML format, and they will send it. So they should have a capacity to receive XML data and convert that XML data to its own format, its own language format. And again, after doing the activity, again they'll convert Java to XML format and they will send it. They will receive the data in the form of XML and they will convert this XML to its own format. Are you all getting it? Everyone present in the class? Yes, no, maybe. Now, what is the in between medium of the syntax they have used to enable this interoperability? What is a general syntax with XML approach? Back then, the one who is developing the application based on SOAP-based web services, knowing XML was compulsory. So back then, one of the important skills which you should add in your resume to get selected was to know that XML. I know also XML. But right now, you'll not see often that you should be knowing XML anywhere in the requirements of the companies. But back then, it was mandatory. Without XML understanding, you will be facing the issues. Fine. Now, guys, whatever we do here, right? Maybe I have one object here. I'm communicating to the weather API. My application I have developed, Telescope application. I want to show weather. So my end users will enter me the details of city, zip code, and all of that. I will receive and store in my Java object. And I have to give them the weather, for which I need not to develop a logic to go to the satellites and collect the actual status. There are many APIs, applications, weather applications, which will give me the details of the weather, which will give me the details of weather information. Maybe this is coded in Python. Can I transfer the Java object as it is to this application? Can it understand? I will convert that into what format, my dear friends? I will convert that to XML format. And it will receive. It will convert that XML to its own local language and then convert that, do some activity, XML it will be given back to you. And then again XML, I will convert that to Java object. And if you have a Java object, it is easy to work with me as a Java developer, for which we use something called as JAX-B. JAX-B. And this is only called as marshalling and unmarshalling. For the Java developers, we use two terms in SOAP-based web services: marshalling, unmarshalling. Marshalling referring to Java object getting converted to XML format. Unmarshalling referring to XML format data getting converted to Java object. Are you understanding, everyone present in the class? Yes, no, maybe. Marshalling, unmarshalling. So with the help of the universal approach XML, the SOAP-based web services, we could able to. Now again, right now, unless it is a legacy project, most of the projects are not using the SOAP-based web services. We are not following it. Many difficulties are associated. Number one, difficulties, you must know XML, no other format of data interchange. XML is the only format of data interchange. Right? Are you all there? That is one of the reasons. There are many other reasons. There are some terminologies which we use in the SOAP-based web services. SOAP-based web services. With the help of SOAP-based web services, first question to everyone. Can you achieve interoperability, my dear friends? Yes or no? Yes, we can achieve. What is a format of data communication between multiple application? XML. We use some terminologies here. One application which is seeking help of one more application, we call it as consumer application. We call it as consumer application. One application which is giving help to one more application, we call it as provider application or producer application. Provider application, or you can say producer application. That means the API which will be used by someone else. Now guys, this is developed, it has been deployed in the server. And how will this application know that what is the endpoint I have to reach, what type of data I have to forward, how many fields should I forward, what type of response I will get from the API, how will I get? There is a way, there has to be some way that it should get information about this API. How to seek help of this API? How should I get connected? What should I pass? What it will give me as an output? All this information I know. In other words, documentation is needed. The documentation can be, taken in the help of some text documents, text files. However, we used to document this API by following WSDL, Web Services Description Language. WSDL used to get created. WSDL is like XML format, like structure, which is having the information about this API. Are you getting it? Yes, no, maybe. That WSDL, they used to keep it within. It is whatever writing right now, I'm UDDI. It is not compulsory, but most of the structures, architects used to have this UDDI. And this WSDL used to be present here. If they want to get connected directly, they cannot. They have to first reach out to WSDL. After developing the application, they will reach out to the WSDL. They'll communicate. They'll reach out to the UDDI. They'll communicate. This is our WSDL. This is how our APIs will work. Now, consumer application, the one who is seeking the APIs, they'll go to this UDDI. They will get all the information. They will get back. After getting full information about the API, then they will make a request to these endpoints. Because right now they have history of the endpoints, how to reach. They will reach out to the endpoint. They will make a request to this API. If there is some endpoints need some data to be passed, in the XML format, you will pass the data by achieving the marshalling. They will seek and they'll give the response back. And the response, if there is any data, the data will be in the format of XML. And we receive that XML and again achieve something called as unmarshalling. That means we'll convert that data into normal Java format. So with the help of this, one application is getting connected to one more application. All of you are there with me? Yes, no, maybe. Everyone in the class? Anyone and everyone? Any confusion to anyone? Now, what is WSDL, guys? What is WSDL? Web Services Description Language. Description language. Now, what does WSDL have? It is like a documentation of your APIs. Documentation of your APIs. UDDI, if you ask me, it is universal description, discovery integration. Discovery integration. That means if one application is seeking help of one more service, one more web service, one more application, then how they will get to know? First, they have to reach it to UDDI. Every case, it need not to be UDDI. The documentation can be shared via mails, via something else also. But this was the usual format. Reach out to UDDI, get the descriptions, get the WSDL of this application, understand what is the endpoint I have to reach, what type of data I have to pass. If I pass this data to this endpoint, that particular API may get or may generate what type of response to me. If I receive that response, what should you do? All this visual information will be available here. Then based on the information, you have to make a request, pass the data, and get the response. And this is the generic architecture of SOAP based web services. All of you are there? Yes, no, maybe. Mm. And people were very, very happy. That's where one student was studying his PhD on computer science with keen interest in solving the real problems. He understood that XML is not a friendly language. Visual is in XML. The data transfer is in XML. A tag-based programming language, a tags-based language, which is very not so friendly for a developers to adapt. People are facing issues. The SOAP-based architecture is not so very friendly, though compared to the other technologies, it is friendly, but it is not so very friendly for anyone who just directly get into this. And he was identifying the problem, and he went against the WSI, web services interoperability. He told no, we should have a universal format to transfer the data. He told web is based on the internet. The one who developed the web is the one who developed HTML also. The one who developed web is the one who developed JavaScript also. And he told, the great man who was doing his PhD, his name is Roy Fielding. He told we should have a principle which is friendly to the web, and the format of data interchange should be more friendly. The data interchange should be not in the XML format, which is quite difficult. The format should be the simplest, which is very friendly to the web, which is should be in the format of JavaScript object notation. Share the data in the form of JSON, JavaScript object notation, where the syntax is very light syntax, very friendly syntax, anyone can understand. Let's have an approach wherein the way one application can seek help of one application should be very simple. The way we transfer the data, receive the data should be in very simple. Let's replace XML with JSON like structure. His name is Roy Fielding. I think in the last class I had showed you the LinkedIn profile of Roy Fielding also. This is the guy. Currently, he's working as a senior principal scientist in the Adobe. He's an employee of Adobe, current employee of Adobe. You can see here, Dr. Roy Fielding defined REST architecture style in his PhD, which changed the entire structure of how one API can seek help of one more API. Are you all there with me? Yes, no, maybe. Everyone, all of you present in the class. Hmm. So based on this, he introduced the concept of, which concept introduced? RESTful services. To the world, we got new concept against the SOAP based web services, which is RESTful services. Initially no one believed him, but later people realized there is no harm in believing someone who's trying to solve the problem. And based on his principles, there are many principles which Roy Fielding gave to the world. One of the principles of REST architecture is the address must be unique. Some of the principles by default we followed in our Spring Web MVC applications. The address should be unique means, what does that mean? The endpoints must be unique. The endpoints to the APIs must be unique. That's the meaning of. We have something called as uniform constraint interface. Fine. That means every API must be binded to HTTP request, HTTP methods. So by default, we have followed the principles of REST in our normal applications without even using it. So all your APIs, whatever APIs you're developing, should be binded to HTTP methods, media representation. I will talk about these principles once we start to develop. Communication must be stateless. What is the need of stateless communication? How to make it stateful also we'll see. The concept of HATOs. Don't send the information in one way. Send some information and attach some links. If they click, they'll get more information. So very often you have come across many informations in many of the applications. If you are buying purchase, even in the e-commerce applications, many where you have come across where you'll get something. If you click buy more, get more information, get more products, only then you'll get more products. Have you not come across with that, guys? They are implementing the concept of HTOs, which comes under the REST architecture principles, right? So we need to understand this one by one. So all by default we are following how to implement HTOs. All of this we will see so that we can understand better. So based on the RESTful services, Sun Microsystem, the owner of Java, they gave something called as JAX, Java API for RESTful services, JAX RS. Based on these principles, based on the specification out of the RESTful architecture, many gave the implementation. We have one of the popular implementation called as Jersey implementation. We have one more popular implementation called as REST easy implementation, which is coming from the JBoss. This is from the Oracle, the owner of Java. Jersey implementation based on the principles of Roy Fielding's RESTful architecture. Many gave the specification. Based on those specifications, many gave the implementation. And in terms of RESTful services, we don't have a concept of consumer, producers, and all of that. We have REST client, we have REST resource. The client, the REST resource, or you can say REST API also we call. REST resource, REST API. We have REST client. Make a request, it will give some response. The request must be a HTTP request. The response will be a HTTP response. Because all the APIs are following the HTTP methods. All of them are binded to HTTP request. And now you can forward the data in the form of JSON also. You can forward the data in the form of XML also. So he implemented that principle in a way that people who are already comfortable with SOAP-based architecture, they are very much rich in XML. They don't want to get adjusted to JSON, no problem. Your API is now enabled to receive the data in the XML also, in the JSON also. You forward data however you want. JSON data forward, XML data forward, JSON is very easy. The response, it can be in the JSON also, it can be in the XML also. Both of them are right now enabled. But most of the cases we are not using XML. We transfer the data in the form of JSON. Our APIs are implementing and responding back in the form of JSON. Now one application getting connected to one more application. And what is the mean of data transfer between these two applications, my dear friends? What is the medium of data transfer? What is the medium of data transfer? Right now, most of them are following something called as JSON. And as a Spring Boot developer, do I need to explicitly follow Jersey implementation or REST's implementation? No. Spring MVC internally has one project called as Spring REST, which will take care of everything. As a developer, you need not to do some extra efforts. No, nothing you have to do. Internally, it is implementing Jersey and internally it will take care of it. It will take care of how we have a concept of marshalling and unmarshalling. Internally, Spring REST, Spring Web MVC module uses something called as Jackson API. What is the responsibility of Jackson API? Jackson API responsibility is to convert your Java object into JSON format, to convert your JSON data into the Java object. So internally, do you need to do something explicit in order to use the Jackson API? The answer is no, you need not to do anything. Internally, it will use. However, I will develop one application or two applications wherein I will show you, I will directly use Jackson API to show you the JSON format data. I myself will use Jackson directly so that you can understand. And so that behind the scene, internally it uses Jackson. So you should be knowing how Jackson API works. Explicitly, you need not to do anything. However you have developed the web applications, you develop in the same style with small change in the annotations. It will internally make use of Jackson, and it will internally convert the Java object to the JSON, JSON object to the Java. So if someone calls your API and pass a JSON data, as a developer, you have no extra efforts, nothing you have to do, no annotations, nothing. You automatically, you just in your controller methods, you just give the reference of your Java object. Example, student, right? Student type of est, one reference. But the one who is calling your API is forwarding the data in the form of JSON. Do you need to do anything? Nothing. But I am receiving the reference which I have given is the Java object. Example, guys, if I have given the reference here, maybe display. If I say here integer type of A, whoever invoking this method, don't you think they have to pass integer type of data? If they pass some string type of data by calling this method, can they get success here? No, we don't have WSDL here. We can document this API in normal text file. But for the Spring Boot application, we use something called as Swagger API for the documentation. Swagger API. Internally, it is using Open API. Okay. So earlier we had a Spring Frogs. Spring Frogs is outdated in the Spring 6 and Spring Boot 3. In Spring Boot 2.7, Spring Boot 5, Spring Framework 5, we had Spring Frogs to implement the Swagger. But the Spring Frogs is outdated. We used to create docket and all. Little bit hard it was. But right now it is very easy after the Spring 6 and Spring Boot 3. So we use Open API for that internally. Swagger API, I will tell you how to document using the Swagger API. I will show you. You need not worry on that. Okay. So guys, can I call the display method and pass, a string type of data? Is it acceptable? If a method is accepting whatever type of data, you have to pass the same data. Similarly, if I write a method like this, input method, and here I am accepting one student type of object. Don't you think whoever is invoking this method, they have to pass one student Java object? Are you all there? But right now, if I pass JSON object to this API, no problem. How? Internally, before data coming to it, the dispatcher servlet internally makes calls to Jackson API. And Jackson API will convert the JSON data into Java object, and Java object will be injected here. But you need not to do anything. While responding back, you can just say return student. One student object you can return. But the Python application or React application, can they understand Java student object? Need not to worry. Internally, again, dispatcher servlet will make call of Jackson API. It will give the Java object to the Jackson, and Jackson API will convert that into JSON format, and JSON format will be do. But as a developer, do we need to put any efforts? Not needed. And that's what we need to understand here, except few change in annotations, and those annotations also we are going to see here. And you can see, guys, most of the application I have added this, right? MVC. And if I have to open to the dependencies, please see here, libraries, if I open, Maven dependencies, you'll see Jackson. Are you able to see Jackson API, guys? Everyone? Yes, no, maybe? I will also develop the application in the tomorrow's class where without MVC, I will use the Jackson API. I will show you how the things are working behind the scene. But the reason, the one who is responsible to convert any type of data into the both XML as well as the JSON data into Java and Java to XML or JSON is Jackson API behind the scene. It's responsible for that. All right. We shall see. What if, can you convert your Java object into JSON without Spring REST, Spring MVC? The answer is yes, we can do that. And how to do it is what we need to see here. Now let's develop the application, guys. The very first application I would like to develop here. I'll say a Maven project, Java 3.3.5. I will say here com.telescope. Telescope. I will give the application of the REST API, API number one application, or REST API application number one. REST API application number one. Let's do the Gradle. I will develop one application in Gradle also, one or two applications, Chavan. Directly, if I get into Gradle, then you'll get problem. I have to talk about Gradle first. I have to teach Gradle. Without giving the fundamentals idea about the Gradle, it will be difficult. Okay. Jar or var, not a matter of concern. Okay. So whichever version of Java, I'll go back here and add only one dependency, guys. How to store in the database and all. All of you right now are experts about the data API part. I need not to every application. I need not to waste time to implement that data API part, right? I would like to go, guys. Spring Web, if I add, build a web, including RESTful applications using Spring MVC. I would like to add this. Dev tools, just to make some changes in the application, automatic redeployment I want. I would like to add this. I would like to generate this application. Application is generated. I'll go back to my downloads. In my downloads, I will take this application. Data is the workspace which we are working on. I'll go back to the data. In the data, I will just paste this and extract it. I'll say right click, extract all. I will say extract. Data is extracted. And let me go back here. Great. Right click. Also delete. I'll go back and import this. Right click. Import the existing Maven project. I'll say next. I'll say browse. I'll go back here and we have extracted REST API application number one. I would like to just say import. All of you know multiple layers, how to write, how to implement DAO layer and all. I don't want to waste time everywhere. Very simple. I would like to keep. Initially, our focus will be on the layers, the web layer part, how to write the APIs, and then later what we already know, we will implement it. I'll go back here. By default, it will be deployed in 8080 if you don't specify the server. No problem. I don't have Oracle in the system, so it will not create any problem. I'll go back. I'll create one package. Name of the package, I'll give it as web layer package or REST package, REST APIs package. Within that, let me just refresh also. And I'll go back here and create one class. Whatever class you want, whatever you want. Let's go with greetings controller, the same application. My dear friends, I would like to go back here and I'll say here controller. To make your API enable to REST architecture, we use two annotations, controller plus response body. Which are those two annotations, my dear friends? One is controller and what is one more? Controller and response body. And the other annotations, request mapping and all remain same. Adding request mapping at the top of the class, is it compulsory or optional, my dear friends? Is it compulsory or optional? It is optional, not compulsory. I hope you're able to understand this. I'll go back here. I'll say public. The return type, I will write it as response entity. Why response entity? All of a sudden, for the first time, I will talk about this response entity in tomorrow, day after tomorrow's class. Without this response entity also, it will work without a problem. But good to wrap it within the response entity. I will develop one more API without response entity. You will see there is no difference. I will say here, get wishes. Okay. I'll go back. Of course, I don't have any wishes. I'll do one thing, guys. I think greetings, many applications we have developed, right? If I'm not wrong. I'll go back and write one package. Name of the package, I'll give it as service package. I'll go back here. Within this, I will develop directly one class. Okay, all of you, or maybe code to interface. I'll go back. Which applications, guys? Greetings applications. Hmm. Which is that? Here somewhere have we developed in our API? Yeah, greetings web app. Can I reuse the same code which we have used, guys, in our service layer? If all of you are okay with it, to save the class time. It's same old story. Or do you want me to hard code again? Is it needed? No, right? I'll go back here. I would like to import here. I have imported. I'll go back. There is no response. I'll come back to this. I'll go back here, my dear friends. Greetings. And we have this. I'll not do auto wiring and configuration. All of you know how to do this configuration and add one extra layer and all of that. I'll do directly. I'll create the object here. I'll say local time dot now. You know that you should not be creating inside every layer. You should be creating in the configuration layer and handing over to Spring IOC container. Entire history, geography, everyone is aware, right? Yes, no, maybe. My dear friends, all of you knows this history, geography of this. So if I write like this, all of you know default understanding, because our purpose of application is not to understand how to write a logic properly. We have seen this many times. Our purpose is to focus on the API development part, right? So I'll go back here and I'll go back and I'll auto wire. What is that, guys? Private. I greetings. I greetings type greetings, or maybe service greetings. Okay, fine. Anything's fine. I'll go back here and I will auto wire right now. No problem. How auto wiring is working. I need not to talk anything about all these things. These are default understanding to everyone by now. Okay. If I write the code, you should understand by default. So no extra efforts from my end to explain you this. All right, guys. I will say here greetings dot. I will generate the greet. I'll pass some name, any name I'll pass. Maybe Vishal is there, so I'll pass Vishal here. Okay. And it will give me some response. I will collect that response. I will say here string type of response. Okay. After which I will say here, please see every one of you will say return new. Guys, wrapping this data in the response entity is optional. I am wrapping. What is the advantage of response entity? I will talk. You have to understand about HTTP request and HTTP response. If you understand about HTTP request and response object, only then you can understand why I'm wrapping in the response entity. But without response entity, can I pass the data? The answer is yes. I will show you that part also. Right now, it is good to add the data. Whatever response you're giving to the client, right? You can give directly, but good to keep within the response entity object and give it. Why? Why it is good to keep it within the response entity? That part I will tell you in tomorrow's day after tomorrow's class while explaining the concept of HTTP request and response object. Okay, now? All of you? I will just give that response comma HTTP status dot OK. That means I could able to generate the request. I would like to say okay. I have to bind as per the principle. I have to bind it to any of the request. Guys, should I respond to which request here? It should be binded to which HTTP method? Get method, right? So let's say get mapping. And I will say here anything. Maybe I'll say here greet is the endpoint. Controller, if you're using, you have to use one more annotation, which is response body. That means this is an REST API. If you add this response body, it is a REST API. That is the meaning of it. All right. And I would like to save this. And if you want, you can add this. Adding the request mapping at the class level, is it a requirement of a REST API application, or it is developer's choice if you have multiple controllers, guys? Is it a requirement of RESTful services? How response entity takes two object. Grish is asking something. Grish, I had told 5 times one part. For you, I will say 6th time. What is that I'm telling 6th time? Response entity, I will talk only when I explain you the concept of HTTP request object and HTTP response object. If I have not talked HTTP request and response object, you can never understand. But right now, I had told one word that it is good to wrap whatever response you are giving within the response entity. Why two parameters? Why response entity? What is the significance? I will be teaching you separately. Fine, huh? Yes, no, maybe. If you are not happy with it, develop the API right now, like this. For the 6th time, I'll say agree to 2. I will, since you are not happy, since one of your colleague is not happy, I will not repeat it. Okay, I will just go with the string, no problem. You can directly return res. Okay, if you are scared of this response entity, you can return right now. And unless and until I talk about it, that time onwards, you start writing this. Is that fine? If you are not happy, those who are, whatever I have told that I will tell you in future, you're okay with it right now that we have to add in the responsibility and send, follow this approach. Those who are like, no, unless and until you talk about the detailed discussion on HTTP request and response about the response entity, don't use it. Okay, you follow this approach. Both of them are valid approaches. Fine. Everyone in the class, are you all there? I have given both the approaches. It's fine, every one of you. No problem. I'll go back here and I would like to deploy my application. Guys, if I have not specified the port number, application will be deployed in which port number? 8080. And did I give a class level URL mapping? API 1 is the class level URL mapping. I'll see here, right click. I'll deploy my application, the embedded Tomcat server. Application is getting deployed. All right. Application is deployed, guys. I'll go back to my browser. I'll go back here. We will go to 8080 slash API1 and I'll see here greet. Okay, I would like to hit the endpoint. Are you getting good morning, Vishal, guys? Everyone in the class? Is our API responding? I'll give here greet to greet to. Gives greet to also good morning, Vishal only. So using response entity without using response entity, any difference in the output, dear friends? With or without any difference? No difference. But my dear friends, using the browser, can you pass the data to my APIs in the JSON format? Can I test my API by passing the JSON format data using the browser? That's where tools such as Postman come into picture. Have you heard of Postman tool? Postman tool is that which is used to test our APIs, whether it is responding back as per our expectations or not. And please download the Postman desktop application from the Google after the class. Okay. I will talk about this. All of you will be comfortable with the Postman tool day by day as we are using. I will discuss about the Postman tool. Right now, I would like to make use of this. Allow. For the first time, do you want to allow this? It will ask. I want to keep it sign in or sign out. Let it sign in. No problem. All right. Oh my goodness. Hmm. I've skipped the sign in part, guys. I will sign in later. All of you guys, are you there with me? Are you able to see this? Here is where you have to, okay. Here is where you have to go and specify what is the type of request. Get, post, put, patch, delete, header options. What is the type of request and the URL? I would like to go to my browser. I would like to go to my browser and copy this entire URL. I'll come back to the Postman tool. It is I'll pass it here. And what is the type of request, guys? This endpoint is binded to which HTTP method? Get or post get. So I'll keep it get as it is. I'll make a request here. I'll say send. Are you getting, guys? Good morning. It has to zoom also. Uh, it is not behaving as per my expectation, guys. I mean, this is some error in the desktop. It will zoom in and zoom out. Okay, right now it is not happening because I have not logged in. I will rectify this after the class. So only it is small. If not, I can show you. It will be in the bigger size. Okay. So after the class, maybe tomorrow's class, we'll see a bigger one. But right now, there is some issues here. That's it. Okay. After which, my dear friends, I'll go back. But it is visible. It's more than sufficient. If you're watching from the laptop, of course, it will be visible to you. So I'll go back here, guys, and develop application number 2. Understand this, all of you. I will develop the API number 2. API number 2. Have you heard of annotation called as a REST controller? Everyone in the class? Have you heard of the annotation called as REST controller? Last application I have used controller and response body. Controller plus response body. Response body is equal to REST controller. You have two options available. Either use these two combinations or use this one annotation at the top of the class. If you use at the one annotation, you need not to use this. Which one is more easier, guys? Using these two annotations are more easier, or just applying this at the top of a class is more easier. And also it will give you a message, right? That it is a REST API. That means a API which is interoperable, a API which is capable of receiving JSON data. All of you are there with me? Yes, no, maybe. So for this application number 2, I would like to apply this annotation, which is REST controller. And if you're using REST controller, response body is gone. Response body is gone. Fine. I will develop this. No problem. Older application, I will stop. And now I would like to deploy this application. I'll say right click, run as Java Spring Boot application. I'll go back to my Postman tool. I'll make a request to this. You can see, guys. Good morning. It is Vishal. I will say a greet 1. Guys, are you getting this HTTP status OK? 200 OK? Huh. If I go to the greet 1, you are manually writing HTTP OK in the response entity object. See here? Oh, there is an issue here. In the greet 1, it is creating one issue. It is not found, it is telling. 8080 API 1, greet 1, it is not found. Is it not found, is it? Oh, sorry, greet 1 was not there. My bad. It is just greet. Okay. Let me open the Postman tool. It is just greet. I'll go back and make a call. See, you're getting it. Still the status is okay. Okay. All of you. We use class level annotation. I have told about this. I'll repeat for that. Whenever you have multiple controllers, to differentiate class level annotation is required. If you have single controller, writing the class level annotation is not recommended. Okay. I have a plan of having multiple controller classes. If you have multiple controller classes, recommended to have a class level URL mapping. Pramod. Right now, how many controller classes we have, Pramod? How many controller classes right now we have? 1. Writing this, is it even having any scope or use? No use. Okay. I would like to go and develop one more controller, guys. I'll give the controller name as student controller. I will say here student controller. Okay, that's the name of this student controller. And could you please tell me if it is an API, automatically deployment is happening, guys, because of the DevTools dependency which I have added. You make any changes in the controller Java code, automatically it will redeploy. I'll stop my server. I'll go back and I will add. If you, okay, guys, all of you, why response a body is required to see right now? The one who's making call to your API is not a HTML page. It is not a end user. If you want to make your API interoperable, then you have to use response body. SP, are you getting it? At the top of the controller, if you make it response body, it is like it is not for the JSP or theme leaf page. To this endpoint, one more application can reach. They can pass JSON data and they can accept JSON data from this API. That's the meaning of it. But we need not to use response body in one condition. What is that one condition, SP? In place of response body and controller, if you use REST controller. Using REST controller is equivalent to using these two annotations. Okay? All of you? I would like to go back, guys. I have one more controller here. I have to use one annotation. Name of the annotation is REST controller. Why to use multiple annotations? After Spring 4, it is recommended to use single annotation, which is REST controller. I would like to use with this. Having the request mapping is optional. If you want, you can skip it. I would like to skip it. Okay. You have multiple controllers, good to give, but not like compulsory or must have. It's not a must have. So all of a sudden, don't come to a conclusion that, oh, I have to use this also. No, not recommended. I'll go back here, guys. I'll have one model also here. I'll go back and create one package called as a model package. Let it be the data model. And within this model, let me go back and I'll say refresh and I will have right click and student type of data. Okay, just to show you JSON format. I will say student, some data within this, guys. I'm not storing something here, just to receive the data. Private integer type of ID, private string type of name. I'll say private string type of city. Okay. After which I'll go back. I'll say right click, source. I will say getters and setters. And I'll have two string methods just to check if we are receiving the data or not. Okay. I'll generate a two string method. It's sufficient for me right now. Or if you want, you can internally create one, few constructors. It's up to you. I would like to save this. This anyway we have seen. I would like to go and save this. And since I'm using, I'll say two APIs here. Response, entity. I will say student type of response. I will say here, whatever. Student info I'll give. Student info. I would like to import this. I will say I'll create by object of student by myself. I'll do one thing. I'll go and generate some constructors also. Because right now we don't have any database. We have not connected. So I want to manually generate one object by myself. And let me have with 10 parameterized constructor also. Okay. All right. I would like to go back here and myself create the object. I'll say student type of est equals to new student. And I'll pass some data. 1 comma maybe Rohan, and you all know by default it is Bengaluru. After which, my dear friends, I will say here return new response entity. What type of data? Student type of data. In the constructor, I will pass two things. I will pass number one, the student object. Number two, HTTP status dot. Okay. What is that? I will tell you about it. If you are not comfortable with this, what to do, I have already told. I'll say here get mapping. Right now, any need of using response entity, guys? Any need of using response entity right now? Should I apply response entity? Not needed. If I go back here, can I write something like this also? Can I write something like this also, guys? Student info 2, wherein I will just write this much. Can I say here any problem, guys? Any major problem if you do so? All of you are there? Yes, no, maybe. If all of you are there, please do let me know. No problem. Or there is a problem. All good. I'll go back here. I will bind this to info 2. I will bind this to info 1. I will say here information 1. Whatever is the, I'll say here API 2, class level URL mapping. So I have told you good to go with this. Whenever your API is responding to the client, don't directly respond the raw object, response within the response entity. Why? I will tell you. If you are not comfortable, unless and until I know the secret behind it, I will not write. No problem. Till that time, keep on writing like this. Not a problem. No issues. Fine, huh? Both the ways are correct. I'll go back to my API and to the application. I'll deploy my application. Let me deploy, guys. I have deployed the application. I'll go to the Postman tool. API 1 greet is anyway working. If I have to go back here, I'm getting the response. But right now, my dear friends, I'll go back to API 2. API 2. I'll go back to information number 1. Information number 1. If I just hit the enter key. Are you getting the data in the form of JSON? It is very small. I cannot zoom in because maybe I have not signed in. Some issues is there. But are you still able to see this? JSON data? Everyone in the class? Yes. And I'll make a call to information number 2. If I hit the endpoint, are you getting the JSON? Any difference, response entity without response entity, any difference in the output? No difference. Yeah. We can see for the get request, we can see from the browser also. No problem. For the get request, we can see from the browser also. For the post request, you cannot. See, guys, it is not in the formatted, but it is in the JSON order. Yep. Did I write any extra code in your APIs, guys? Did I write something extra? At least you might feel because of the response entity, maybe in this API endpoint. Did I use any response entity or something? Did I use? Did I? Normal Java object I'm returning. But to the client, the data is reaching in the Java object or in the JSON format. Which format the client is receiving? JSON format. Are you all there? Now, did I do something extra for that, guys, to achieve this? Behind the scene, which API is used? JAXB for XML and SOAP-based web services. But for RESTful services, which API is used behind the scene? Jackson API. Do you need to explicitly do something to use Jackson API? Not required. I'll go back, my dear friends. I'll go back here and I will bind this to add student. I'll bind this to add student. Okay. I'll say add student. All right. And I will receive student type of data. Student type of data. Okay. And after receiving the data, on my console, I will print. On my console, I will print system.out.println data. And I'll just give one string message. Data saved. I will just go and bind this to which mapping, guys? Should I bind to which mapping here? If I am receiving the data, it should be binded to Post mapping. All of you present in the class? Yes, no, maybe. Any ambiguity to anyone in the class? No ambiguity. Whenever you receive the data, right, we should add one annotation here. Very, very important annotation. That this data which I am injecting, if it is in any format, convert that to student Java object. One annotation we use here. Name of the annotation is nothing but request body. Request body. That means I'm requesting such a body which is in the Java format. Doesn't matter the end user is forwarding in JSON or XML format. It will convert into Java object. One annotation called as request body. I'm printing on my console. I would like to save this. The endpoint is same, or maybe I'll say here add. That is the endpoint. I would like to save again. Redeployment is happening automatically because of the DevTool dependency. I'll go at the Postman tool. Guys, from the browser, how can I send the data in the form of JSON? How can I send? How can I send the data in the form of JSON right now? Are you all there? Yes, no, maybe. I cannot send the data here. For which Postman tool is the only option. What is the type of request, my dear friends? What is the type of request? Post. What is the endpoint? Endpoint is add. And you have to go to something called as body. I'll go to the body. I'll say raw. What is the type of body? I'll say JSON format. Raw JSON format. I will add it. I will add it. And now I'll make a request. If I send a request, you're getting here data saved. I'll go back to my application on the console. I have to see here. See, I'm receiving that data in the form of Java object. I'm printing in the console. Java object. And as a Java developer, if you receive any information in the form of Java object, will there be any problem, guys? Keys must be matched with the POJO. It is very compulsory. And as a Java developer, how to send this to different layers, store, work with the data, write the logic, whatever you want, you can do. However you want, you can work with that data. Yep. Here right now, which JSP and all. Are we using any JSP here as SP? No. That is HTML based, tag based. That's a front end part. Right now, our application, we are dealing with business to business application, not the front end, not for the end users. The end user is one more application. Our client of application right now is one more application. So if our client is directly the end user, then you can just write JSP and HTML and you can just give it to that. JSP is like HTML. But right now, we are sending it to one more application. Our one more application will take care of the clients. Fine now? Yeah? Now. So have you got fundamentally, guys, REST API means what? Have you everyone understood fundamentally? We have to develop so many things, but to start the journey with. Everyone in the class? Okay. To receive a data in our API from the one more application, from the end user or one more application, which annotation we have to use, guys, to receive a Java object data? Name of the annotation which we have to use? Request body. So to get the data, we use post mapping. To get the data, we use get. Yes, Vaibhav. See, if you are transferring the data from the client to server, it should always be a post request. Why also, if you want, I'll tell you. I had told you in the MVC, but again, I'll repeat in detail. I'll talk on this during the discussion of HTTP request and response methods, okay? Whenever you are editing the data, put or patch. Whenever deleting the data, delete. Whenever you are forwarding important data, it is post. Whenever you're getting the information, it is get. It is about the HTTP request, HTTP methods, which are generic, irrespective of the languages or technology which you use. Fine, guys. So this is about the introduction to the REST APIs, we have to understand many things fundamentally also before we get into the actual development. Okay. So few more applications will develop. We will use Jackson API, intro to RESTful services, boardwork, boardwalk. Okay. I would like to share this and then we can have a discussion if you have anything to be discussed with me. Okay. Allow me a minute of time. Guys, please do complete the Udemy course of JUnit. It is important. Before I reach out to the where I will use a unit testing. I will not teach unit testing. I will test our API by considering that you already know unit testing in Java. Okay. So before next 2 weeks of time or maybe 1 week of time, before 1 week of time, please to complete. It's just 2 hours of content. You can watch it in 1.5x speed. That means it is 1.5 hour of content. Tomorrow only, Ganesh. I will use the Mockito also there. What is the use of Mockito also I'll tell you. But right now in the JUnit I have not added Mockito content yet. It is in the recording stage. It is just JUnit. Mocking I will teach you in the live class. What is the need of mocking? How to use Mockito I will teach you in the live class. Postman tool, Swagger UI, I will only tell you how to work with that. You need not to worry. JUnit is needed. Mockito I will teach you in live class. AOP I will only teach. Security I will only teach. Actuators, HTOs, Spring Boot profiles, scopes. I will only teach in the live classes. Not sure, how many projects, guys. Anyone would like to connect with Suresh and would like to join him? Any group yesterday which got created would like to consider Suresh also in your batch? Sai Teja and Suresh. Sai Teja is from the USA. Guys, there is a community session in your dashboard. Could you please interact with each other there? And if you are not getting the response in the Discord group, in the Java group, please do response. Okay. Anything is fine, Sai. Yesterday I was not feeling well, and then I was invited in one university as a guest. So I have to go to that university to address the students. And very sad to say that university had more than 20,000 students. I mean, in the class where I was taking the session, the lecture, guest lecturing, not lecturing exactly, just to give a wake up call to the students. Auditorium full, students were there. Almost more than 700-800 students were there. And when I ask about how many of you have a GitHub link, only 5% raised the hand. I asked how many of you know one programming language properly. None of them were confident. And I told the era has gone to somewhere very far. And if you are just lacking in basics, also it will be a problem. And unfortunately, that's the case with 80% of universities in India. Formality based education, especially at the current moment. If that is the case, then the unemployment of the software engineers will be at the peak. Knowing many skills are also not sufficient these days. Not knowing anything will be a big problem, and companies are not afford to get them, train them, and wait them to get adjusted, because the way they are moving, they want someone who's already skilled. How to access? I've posted on this income. Okay, my Udemy courses, is it? Mm-hmm. Allow me a minute, okay? Use this link and join the course. It is available in every Terisco YouTube channel video. See, I will talk about this JV. Framework is, it will give you the entire ecosystem. It is like a semi-developed application. You have to follow certain steps to make use of it. It gives its own ecosystem, which will make the development of an application easy. Library means it will not give you any unique ecosystem. You have to develop the application using the same language how you are doing, but it will give you some predefined codes, predefined structure, which will be helpful for you to development of the application. API is someone else has already coded. You're just making call and seeking the help of that. Someone else code. You're, if you want, you have to get connected to it. You have to make a request. They will give some response. Based on the response, you can further write your logic. Spring is a framework. Spring has its own ecosystem. The way you are developing the application, you are following certain steps. The way to use some semi-developed application. Most of the things Spring is doing by itself. It is a framework. And in this application which I'm developing, if I'm making help of one more application, that means I'm making call to, in my Spring application only, I'm connecting to one more application, seeking the help, and it is giving you a response, which I will do you going forward in our classes also. You'll get better clarity on this. API is one of the service. We will discuss all these things, okay? Sai Teja. We'll discuss all this, okay? And a few of the things after learning, you can also explore by yourself. You will be versatile enough to by default explore the few of the things by yourself. But most of the major parts will cover in the live class. Response body is necessary for every method is the question from Vishal. What is the answer from all of you guys? Is it compulsory to write the response body for every method? Vishal has some questions. Tell me, did I raise any response body here, guys? Vishal, tell me, guys. Anywhere did I write response body in this entire controller? Vishal? Why didn't I use Vishal? Why didn't I use? See, Chavan has already given the answer. I have discussed that already. When either you go with this response body or controller, if you have applied controller at the top of the class, then response body is compulsory to be called as an API. But if you have used REST controller, then response body is not compulsory. I have discussed this. Request body is compulsory to receive the data. And whatever parameters are there in the JSON parameters, names of the parameter must be same, but it can be less or more. Tomorrow I will discuss about it. Okay. It can be less or more. I will discuss about it tomorrow. One language and its entire ecosystem, if you need, it's sufficient. Not need to know anything else. One language, its frameworks, you need the associate concept, how to write the unit test, how to, basics of Docker, guys, Jenkins videos are getting ready. It will take some time because I have to record it. It should get ready. Docker is ready. It will be uploaded in some days. Okay. And Docker's basics, Jenkins basic, Git and GitHub, microservices, Spring Boot. One language is sufficient in that case. If not, you may have to learn many. By default, you learn as and when you grow in the industry. So it is not something rocket science. Someone with 10 years of industry exposure knows many things. It's default system. That's the reason they know many things. Nothing special about it. Cloud requires Java, not compulsory, good to have skills. Good to have. AWS, good to have, but not compulsory. See, application development is all about two important steps. Number one, writing the code or developing the code. Number two is building and deployment. And if you want to be part of the build and deployment process also, then you should have an idea about DevOps and cloud. If you want a part of only development, then you need not to have idea about DevOps or cloud. If you want to be part of writing the code and building and deployment process also, then DevOps and cloud is also needed. No update, Suresh, yet. Is there any requirement document available for the assignment which we are discussing yesterday's session? I'm not sure, Dipali. I'll ask our team. I'll check what has been discussed. I have not watched yesterday's session. I'll ask sir and I will definitely let you know in tomorrow's class. All right, guys. Will you discuss the REST architecture in the project structure of model DAO, how we define them? Yes, 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 Rohit. By default, we are following the principles of REST here. Are we binding our controller methods to the specific HTTP methods? Yes or no? Rohit? Here we are binding to get, here we are binding to post. That means we are following which principle of REST? We are following this principle of REST, which is uniform constraint interface. We are following this. Are we giving a unique address to our all our methods? Here info 2, info 1, the endpoints are unique. That means are we not following one of the principle of REST? We are following the principle of REST. Right? So we will follow all these principles and I'll talk about this also. Yes, yes, yes. We will. We will develop on end-to-end proper applications. Okay. How we have developed there, we will develop. We will handle globally exceptions. We'll implement AOP. We'll implement security to those applications and everything. All right, guys. Key points. Notes means I'll not give handwritten with code and all of that. Code files have already been shared. Board work is already been shared. Notes referring to apart from board work and key points, I'll be sharing you, board work and the code files. I'll be sharing you some key important points. It's there. I just lost it, which I've shared with the other batches. I've asked other batches students to share me. They are not sharing. I'm just waiting for someone because I have shared to other batches key points. If not, I'll make a from the scratch and I will share you. Okay, I'm really sorry for this. I've shared for multiple batches and I don't know where I've kept. I've checked my whole laptop and everywhere. Right now, I have to keep it within my GitHub. If not, it will be a problem for going forward also. Okay. Yes, sync and async calls too. I will discuss what is the difference. Why we have to go with the REST template. Why we have to go with the web client. Synchronous, asynchronous, both if you want, then web client. If you want only synchronous call, then you have to go with REST template. And the replacement of REST template and web client for microservice applications is Fin client. I'll talk about it, these things. It is very important things for the interviews. Because I myself have attended many interviews, guys. And very often I apply for the job simply, even if I have no intention to join any company, I take the interviews just for the experience so that I can deliver good for my students. So randomly every 2 months once I apply jobs, I get interview calls and do give the technical interviews. No, not nothing as such. Graph QL or you can go with the what do you say Kafka. Anything is fine. GraphQL not the replacement of REST APIs. No, Chavan. It's not complete replacement. Not yet. No replacement of REST APIs yet. All right, guys. Thank you everyone for being with me in today's class. We shall meet tomorrow exactly at 7 a.m. and continue the discussion on RESTful services. Upcoming 3 weeks are very crucial for your interview, for you to be called as a confident Spring Boot developers. So make sure that next 3 weeks, this week, next week, and next to next week, these 3 weeks you are regular to the classes. And if you are regular for the next 3 weeks, most of the part you are done. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.